Coast of the World by Eric Lutz. It's about False Bay, Cape Town. This is where my Coast of the World is. And I chose this coast because it is the only coast in the world where great white sharks breach. And it's known as Seal Island, is the island that is in False Bay that is where you can see these great white sharks breach, and I will talk about why they breach. Air jaws. So the great white shark is an enormous shark. It has a huge appetite, and with seals being full of fat, they are the main food source. And False Bay, Cape Town, South Africa, is the only place on Earth where great whites breach the surface and to capture their prey. Now there are some other areas in South Africa where they breach, but it's just because it has similar to Seal Island, and this is what makes False Bay so unique because so many people come to see it. False Bay. So False Bay is located right on the southeastern tip of South Africa. It borders the Indian Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. It's considered to be in the Indian Ocean, but it's right there at the tip of the South Atlantic Ocean there. Its water temperatures are warm thanks to the Agulha Current that brings warm water from Mozambique. It is called False Bay due to early sailors mixing it up with Table Bay, which is just north of False Bay. Seal Island is located about 3.5 miles away from the mainland, or Cape Town, South Africa, in False Bay. It's called Seal Island due to the mass amounts of Cape fur seals that call this 5-acre rock home. Seal Island is the Cape fur seal breeding ground and where they give birth to their pups, with almost 12,000 to 18,000 new pups being born on a very small island. This island also became a wildlife reserve in the late 1800s, which then made the seal population boom, which in turn brought great whites en masse to Seal Island, which makes sense because with back in the day they used to hunt Cape fur seals, and then once they started conservation efforts, there was a boom in seals, and with seals come sharks. And this is just there's Seal Island right in the center, almost in the center of False Bay, and yeah. The Ring of Death. So Seal Island is very important because it's the only place in the world that these great white sharks breach, because Seal Island drops significantly. And the Ring of Death is the area surrounding the island where the sharks swim, which this is called the Ring of Death, where the ocean floor drops and gives the sharks the means and the opportunity and the speed to breach on these seals. And Seal Island, with the abundance in seals and the seafloor dropping, is the perfect opportunity for these great whites to breach. Why does it only happen here? Why do great whites only breach on the surface in False Bay around Seal Island? It's because of the island's landscape and the types of seals living on the island. With the steep drop-off of Seal Island provides the perfect hunting area for the breach. That's why this is the only place in the world that it happens, because of the island that provides such a steep drop-off for these sharks to swim. And then the seals' bodies also play a factor into the breach. The seals are small enough to not put up a fight, but also not big enough for them to outmaneuver a breaching shark, unlike other seals that these sharks come into contact with. So there has been a decline in great white breaches off of False Bay, because they say that because the huge amounts of sharks and the already existing amounts of seals, orcas have become prominent to come into the area because they're known to eat great white sharks, and they're also known to eat seals. Their two favorite meals. So, and then the fishing nets have also become a problem for the great whites. They'll get tangled up in them and die. Is the two logical solutions as to why there has been a steady decline. Conclusion: this is the only place in the world to see sharks do this day in and day out, which makes this coast unique. So many conditions have to be made for these great whites to breach, and it's mostly due to the geography of Seal Island. They can eat seals regularly anywhere, but this is the one coast that has the perfect conditions to create air jaws. And another reason why this is a very important coast is due to the fact that these sharks are coming down the Angola coast and the Gulf Stream, and this is where they make a pit stop on their way into the Indian Ocean or into the Atlantic Ocean. And these are my references.